Good evening, guys. It's Phil. It's All Leeds TV, and we are back. It's been a little while. I've almost forgotten how to do this. It's been that long. Chris, Scott, I've not seen you in so long. Where have you both been, Scotty? I'll come to you first. It's been a while. How have you been? It's been a busy time of year for you, yeah?
Yeah, I haven't been on the channel in months. Um, just been one thing after another. So my grandfather died, and then I got sick, and then Santa, obviously. So it's been a busy few months. And on the Santa thing, thank you to the support of the All Leeds TV viewers that nominated and voted for me to get that award as well. So thanks very much.
See, there is a reason you're all watching. You make us all very happy in very indistinct ways. Chris, how are we doing, mate? Not quite as long as Scott, but it does seem a while since we've had one of these discussions, and I've not seen you in probably the longest I've ever not seen you.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I've kind of forgotten, forgotten what Premier League football's like. It's been that long, and they had the World Cup to kind of keep us occupied, but ready to get going again. It seems a really weird time of year to be starting, almost like a pre-season.
Yeah. So obviously we're going to try and keep it to an hour tonight. We won't go on too long. But in terms of the usual format, I'm still going to get like lineup predictions from you both, score predictions, but I'm going to break things up a little bit differently to how we usually do, and just sort of, because we've not done a player ratings, there's not really been too much post-match content on the City game. I want to get your thoughts on the other night and how you felt it went. I must admit, me and Ellie went to the game with Lad and Dad and Lass, who I have now met as well. There is a Lass as well as a Lad, which is amazing. But we left a game where let's be honest, were comprehensively beaten. And I wasn't sad. I mean, I know there's been some kickback on Twitter with people being a bit annoyed, and the Jesse Marsh out brigade, which, Scott, I'm not in. I'm just clearing that up pretty early. I'm not in that, I swear. It seems as though people were a bit annoyed, and I don't really see how you can get too annoyed at a 3-1 defeat by Man City. I wanted it. Well, I was expecting it to be 6. Me and Ellie went purposefully for the stand-upper because we wanted to see Erling Haaland's movement. And, it's nice to get back to Ellen Road, nice to get back with the friends and family and feel at home again and get back into that normal routine. But going there expecting a 3-1 loss and to be sad about it was not two things I put together. So, Scott, how did you take what unfolded on Wednesday night?
With a bit of surprise more than anything. As you said before, it wasn't a 7-0 dissection of Leeds and their previous one-plan game, and plan B was do plan A better, but with the exact same tools and the exact same way as plan A. Different formation for a start, where you seen straight away Jesse March was going, right, let's try and restrict what Man City can do. And I've seen commentators saying, Man City didn't get out of third gear. From what I seen, Man City didn't get out of third gear because we didn't let them. We were by no means good.
Yeah.
There's levels. Man City are miles above us. And yes, people will always go back to, we beat them with 10 men. Listen, that was a fluke. We all know it was a fluke, but we will take the flukes when they come and we will celebrate them. But to get destroyed 7-0 without Erling Haaland, then to have Erling Haaland come to Ellen Road, and he should have had about 5 goals at least.
Yeah.
Melier played a blinder. I think he basically stopped Erling Haaland's every single one-on-one. If I'm wrong, correct me. But from my memory, Haaland didn't beat him once on a one-on-one. Yes, there was defensive errors, and we just seemed to lack anything in the first half anyway. We lacked any kind of threat, except when Willie Nanto was on the ball.
Yeah.
And that guy is just something else.
Yeah.
He really is. But to lose 3-1, we got a goal. We could have got hammered more.
Yeah.
You can't be disappointed with it. I hate saying it was the write-off, or it was a free hit.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anyone genuinely in their heart said, yeah, we're going to win this against City. Don't think there could be anyone that can honestly say that.
It could have, like you said, that it could have gone either way slightly differently. We could have made it a bit tighter, but equally it could have been 7-8-0. I mean, Grealish alone missed a hat trick of sitters, and me and the wife were having this discussion yesterday in terms of, well, is that Ellie seems to think we did good in making him miss them. I think no, it's worrying that we gave him those chances anyway. So I suppose it's a toss of a coin as to which way you see it. But yeah, for me, one of the interesting things you said, Scott, I'm going to ask you on this because I know it's something that you've disagreed with me on at times, I think, this season. But the 4-3-3 for me was a strong point on the occasions that we've used it going into the World Cup break. And it was clear that they were using the time that they had off to build on that and make that the new norm rather than the old penis ball or 4-2-3-1. I think it was... I definitely want to see 4-3-3 going forward. If I had any criticisms to make of the other night, I just think perhaps with Tyler Adams out and the players that weren't on the pitch, perhaps like your Harrisons, your Sinistera, and maybe even Somerville, for me, potentially the 4-3-3, the players that we had on the pitch the other night seemed to suit the 4-2-3-1 a bit more than a 4-3-3, which, like I said, going forward, I'd want to see the 4-3-3 with Adams back in tomorrow. Definitely want to see that formation built around him. But yeah, are you happy with the change to a 4-3-3? And do you think it's going to be something that we can actually make work? Because it has worked so far at times this season. The Arsenal game is one that springs to mind really well. Obviously, I know we lost, but I like it.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with it. I guess the scoreline, the result, we all expected a defeat. We can all try and think up ways we might nick a point or grab a win somehow, but realistically, it wasn't going to happen with the players we had kind of missing. I just think the scoreline maybe flatters us a bit. Like you said, there's so many missed chances. Grealish missed loads. I think Haaland, I don't know if his head was properly in the game or what he was doing, but I'm sure you've seen him kind of put those chances away, and you just we kind of got a bit lucky. Could have got it back to 3-2 sort of late on, but I'm not sure we really deserved that. But yeah, I think the formation, I would be happy to see it. My only worry is it going to limit the chances that we can create? I think we're certainly more solid. Like against City, we were quite good defensively to start with. The first sort of 30 minutes, 40 minutes, like there wasn't gaping holes in the team. Like you didn't see Mahrez in acres of space on his own. Like the pressing was really good, and that was kind of the only positive. But I just like Scotty said, the only chance we created were through Nonto, and that's kind of all we had. And is that due to the formation? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can definitely understand where you're coming from. I think in terms of the chance creation stuff, do we take into account that we were just against such an elite side that maybe, or do we not sort of make that argument and say, no, we are Leeds United, we should be creating chances regardless of who we play? It's a tough one. I think in terms of, I think it's a hard game to judge and to gauge how either defensively or in the attacking phase we're going to sort of go with this formation based on who it was against. So it's going to be more intriguing to see how it plays out tomorrow. But yeah, in terms of the bits you might have missed from not being in the stadium, I thought the atmosphere was really good, particularly when it got to like 2-0 down, 3-0 down. Their fans were doing the Poznan when they went 3-0 up. So obviously when we scored, our South stand started doing the Poznan back at them. And some banter with Calvin Phillips. But the ticket prices, let me say, were astronomical for this game. 50 quid just to be as far up as you can get in the East Stand Upper. But I caveat that by saying I will pay that money again to see how many times we kicked Jack Grealish. It was worth every fucking penny. And the moment where Clip comes off the bench and just immediately clips him, slaps him in the face, pure fucking gold. There was good bits. I think the thing about the game the other night, it felt very pre-season friendly in terms of. I think that's why it's a separate entity to tomorrow. Tomorrow feels like our first proper game back. I still don't think it's one where we go away to Newcastle and I sit here and think has to be 3 points. Look, if we can get anything out of it, it'll be a good result. But there was just so many joyous bits, and Scott, I'm intrigued to get your take on this, but me, Lad and Dad and Ellie were just laughing the other night at times with, I felt like some of the substitutions were just for shits and gigs. And obviously there's a question that comes from bringing up Diego Llorente anyway in the contract, and feel free to give me your take on the contract and what that means in the long run and everything. But when he bought contracts, when he bought Cooper off and he bought Llorente on at 3-0 down, I was just thinking, you have got to be taking the piss. And throughout the game, we were all kind of complaining that Mark Rocker's passing was fucking terrible. And if anyone needed to come off, he probably should have been the one. And every sub that warmed up, you were just like, right, Rocker's coming off and he's coming on. And I've never seen him complete 90 minutes, but somehow on Wednesday he completed 90 minutes despite being the worst player on the pitch. Yeah. So, yeah, what did you make of the subs? Were you happy with the changes, or did they make you a bit?
I honestly don't get a lot of them. I think bringing liability Llorente on for Cooper was just silly. I know Cooper didn't have a great game, but I don't think it warranted Diego liability coming on. Like, you can call him whatever you want. I think he's the worst. He's worse than Cooper when we were in the championship. I think he was partnered with Pontus. Like that, I don't understand why Llorente's been given an extension. But anyway, I just don't get that. That's, I don't know. Click coming on again. He's going.
Yeah,
so is it a case of just let him play these last couple of games? Because as soon as the window opens, he's away. Give him a bit of a farewell type thing. Bill Ealing, I do not rate at all. Why he's getting game time off the bench over Cody Drama is ridiculous. I don't care if he's part of the leadership council. The leadership council can kiss my hind end, because you can see on the pitch, do we have any leaders there that the younger players respect, or are the younger players being bossed about? Because that's what I see Rodrigo doing a lot of the times with the likes of Willie Nanto, Somerville. He's not leading them. He's barking orders at them, and that's not a leader. That's a dictator. Liam Cooper, for me, he's been a great servant for the club. He's been a great leader. But we need to move forward. This nostalgia nonsense has to go. Bill Ayling.
That's where the contract thing comes into it, because obviously Ayling, who you bring up, his contract's up at the end of the season. Pascal obviously has just been given a new one. Llorente's been given a new one, but Cooper's is up at the end of next season. We imagine we're going to phase some of these players out, but the Llorente contract, it really did throw
baffles me.
Yeah, it's a weird.
And I was saying this. Well, apparently was saying this Max Wober. Yeah, I don't know anything about him. I haven't even looked into it. All I know is he's a defender and he's a Red Bull guy, so he's obviously going to fit into Jesse Marsh's plans. Which for me is kind of good, because I'm looking at that and going, right, there's investment going into Jesse Marsh. There's belief into what he's doing. And people will say whatever they want. And I'm not going to get into the debate that's been raging from last year, because it's just silly. No, it really is silly. But we are in my opinion, I think we're in a much more stable position as such, compared to last season. At this stage last season, I went, we're going down. Right now, I think we're going to finish where we are right now. I don't see us finishing any higher than maybe 13th.
Yeah.
But I don't see us finishing any lower than 15th. And that is progress. It's not Newcastle level progress, which Jesse March touched on in the press conference. That comes down to money. Not solely money, because Eddie Howe's done a phenomenal job. Newcastle haven't lost from August.
Oh, mate, they're on a ridiculous run of form over the last year, to be honest, since they played.
He's won like 20 games in 2022 there.
Yeah.
No other manager in the top flight's done that. 20 games he's won in the league. You know, and I found it really strange that nobody's given Newcastle enough respect or credit to go, they're challenging right now. They're challenging for Champions League.
Oh, yeah.
To win the league. And they're not even at their Man City Adebayo stage or whatever. Like they're already levels away where Man City were when they first had the oil money in. And I think that comes down to not just the money, but good management, good tactics, and players that have bought into and believe in the system. You bring that to us, we don't have that money. And the players that we have are still, you've still got ones caught up in the previous agenda, and ones, the younger ones, who are the ones I'm currently impressed with, are really eating up Jesse March's ethos. And for me, it's these younger guys that are going to be taking us forward. You know, I would come January, I would almost say, do you know what, sell Harrison to someone that will give us good money for him. I would sell Bamford. I would give Bamford away for free. And honestly, see that Bill Ealing, just if he wants to stay here to the end of his contract, that's fine. But he should not be getting game time over Cody Drama. Yeah, and I've seen a comment there about Llorente's better than Cooper. I do kind of agree with that, but I don't think Llorente and Cooper should ever play together.
No, absolutely. Yeah, a couple of interesting ones to take out of that, and I'll definitely ask Chris on going off where we are at the moment. You take the Man City game. We'll move on to Newcastle shortly, but draw a line up at where we are and where we are in the table. The number of points we've got. Do you feel as confident, Chris, as Scott does, that we are not in any sort of danger of going down? To be honest, I don't quite have that level of. I don't fear it. I can still look at the table and go, are there genuinely three worse sides than us? On our worst day, on our best day, don't get me wrong, 3-0 against Chelsea, I probably didn't think for a second we'd go down. But, you know, at the end of that run where we went on, 9 games without a win, and I wasn't feeling too confident of staying up then. So I think it's easy to get clouded by what's going on. And obviously there's a bit of a relaxed feel after the break. And there was good bits of the performance the other night, but would you say you feel confident that we are, based off the last however many games that have got us to this point, not looking forward just yet, but what you've seen so far, have you seen enough that makes you think we're not going down?
No, not at all. I think after the Chelsea game, I think everyone was really confident. I get probably looking up flights to Barcelona, thinking who we're going to get in the Europa League, and my passport's firmly back in the drawer, and we've had some good wins. Obviously, Chelsea, Liverpool. I feel we should have beat Tottenham, but it was lack of squad, lack of subs. Yeah. Like they brought on like 3 or 4 excellent players, and we had no one to sort of counter that. But they're kind of almost freak results. Like we need to be beating the teams in and around us, and we haven't done that enough. And I think if we bring these performances against those clubs, we are going to get points. Like the first half an hour, if we press with the intensity like we did against Man City, the teams won't have the quality to kind of pass around. Like it didn't phase Edison, it didn't phase all the Man City players, but it will phase sort of the West Ham players. It will phase sort of Fulham, Bournemouth, all these teams. So I still think there's hope, but I think we're definitely in the battle. I think we're going to be within the bottom 5, bottom 6, and I'm not massively worried yet, but I think it is a massive January to come. I don't. Yeah. Newcastle's.
You've both alluded to the one thing I was going to follow that up with, and I'll ask you both, but I'm going to stay with you just while you're on it, Chris. Do you think January is make or break? Do you think January, if we have a good January, 100% it can keep us up? But if we have a January like last January and we do absolutely fuck all, 100% we could go down. Because for me, it's as black and white as that. I'll be honest. I think it is.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know. I guess we've got is it 6 or 7 games we got in January? I haven't seen exactly, but we've got a hell of a build up of fixtures, and I mean, if it needs to start with a win against Cardiff. Like we can't go out in the third round of the FA Cup. Not that that's that important, but I think for confidence it is.
You used the word "can't" there very, very easily, more easily than most Leeds fans would about a cup game.
Yeah, I just think he needs the win just to build something, and even the next couple of games, West Ham, it's not easy. So yeah, I think if it's a bad January, he could be sacked at the end of January. I don't want that. But yeah, if we don't pick up any points in January, I can't see how we can continue how we are.
I think, like Scott alluded to, in terms of if the rumours are true and Max Verber is the next person that's coming in, all it is another sign of, well, they are definitely investing in Jesse Marsch. I think but some people might say they did what Bielsa wanted in last January's window by not doing X, and then he was gone a few weeks later. But I don't know, for me, if they are going out and letting Jesse Marsch or letting Victor Orta buy players for this kind of system, for Marsch's plan, I don't think that you can then go and sack him a few weeks later, regardless of what happens. But Scott, I'll ask you the same question. In terms of this January, is it so make or break that you think that if we have a bad one, we're down, we have a good one, we're up?
I don't think it's as black and white as that, to be honest. We brought JKA in the January window.
Fair.
And we had high hopes for him. And lots of people, even Fabrizio Romano saying about how he was always highly rated, more than Mbappe, going through their systems. And that wasn't the case. And that turned into be a massive, massive financial problem for us, which we're now having to pay. For me, it's not about bringing in a load more players. It's about getting the right players. Jesus Christ, I sound like Angus Kinnear right now. We need to bring in the players that are going to fit the system. And I know people, and I know Chris, you said about he could, Marsch could be sacked in January, and Phil, you were saying about it there as well. I do not believe we get rid of him this season. I think he's here until the 49ers take over, and I think he will be here. Maybe depending on how next season goes, what league we're in, I think a lot of it will hinge on that. There's a lot of, obviously I've left Twitter and all. Like I've been much happier from doing that, might I add.
I was feeling great. But Chris Kelly's back on,
I recall there being a lot of romantic notions. And Carlos Corberan should be the one taking the reins. He done so well with Huddersfield, but then he couldn't do it in a one-team league in Greece and didn't last 3 months. And I don't care if people are going, but Olympiacos are Champions League team, not black, whatever. He couldn't cut it in a one-team league. He's doing okay at West Brom. People just need to go, right, it's Jesse Marsch is here. The board, I do not believe, the board that is there right now will be here in the summer. Rad's hinted at something the other day about someone else needing to take us forward. So he's basically saying, I have no money.
Yeah, he's off.
Do I think we're going to have a shopping spree this window? Not unless we sell Harrison, Bamford, the ones that could bring us a few quid. We're getting an undisclosed fee for Klitsch. It's most likely probably going to be about $1 million, I would imagine. I can't imagine it's more than that.
I don't think it'll be that much.
No, but it's I think the next run of games, along with the transfer window, will be telling. It's going to be how well the young guys step up, because they're going to be given opportunities in these next 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
That for me is what is going to be hinged on. I said at the start of the season, I get a real feel of the O'Learys about Jesse Marsch, because he does highly rate and he's given these young guys a chance. Whereas before there was a clear pathway to the first team, and there wasn't. Now, given the chance, we've seen Somerville's a difference maker.
Yeah.
We all laughed when we signed Willie Nanto going, oh, it's another kid. And he has proved to be an absolute belter.
Yeah.
Cody Drama, for me, needs more game time. When Rasmus is off his game, Drama needs to come in, not Bill Lealing. Ball watcher Bill, no thank you. No thank you at all. It's tough because we do need players. You could make an argument we need a whole new back line. But I personally want to see Straight and Cock in the middle. That's what I want to see. We need a left back. 100% need a proper left back. Even though Straight's doing okay, he needs to be back in the centre. Is there a reason Leo Helda isn't able to play left back at the minute? Tipped to be the next Virgil and all this here coming from Celtic and stuff. It's a weird one, but we do need to do something, and we definitely need a striker, and we need one that will push Rodrigo to go, listen, you aren't our first choice here. You aren't our only choice. The same, we need someone to push Gelhardt to do what we all hoped and thought he would do this season. And again, Gelhardt was unfortunate the other night because he could have very, very, very closely, very easily nearly got 2 goals himself.
Yeah.
But we need, it's not just about getting players in that will go, boom, I'm taking this spot. We need players to come in to give the current lads a kick up the ass and motivate them to play better. Because, again, I think there's too many ones there I think, I've been here a while, I'm guaranteed this spot. For example, Rodrigo, who has, in my opinion, done much better this season than I expected. But we need more than that. Yeah. We need Sinister to stay friggin' fit and don't get silly suspensions. And we really missed Tyler Adams the other night. Yeah. Really missed him.
I think it's pretty much every Leeds fan, no matter what your persuasion, would say we need a left back and we need a striker. If you want to do anything else, by all means do it, but please give us a left back and a striker immediately, sooner rather than later. I think that's pretty much everyone's opinion. Look, it doesn't matter what you think of the players that are in the team, and don't worry, we've all expressed our opinions before, and we probably will again, but I'm going to try and refrain discussing Firpo, Llorente, Rodrigo, anyone like that. Look, we've got what we've got, and end of the day, Jesse Marsh, like Scott said, I don't see him going anywhere before the end of the year. I don't think it makes any sense.
I don't think the 49ers will want another manager in.
No, I don't really know. The 49ers things, the whole Radrizzani interview and the whole mystique going on around it at the moment, it all feels really annoying in a way, in terms of, look, we know it's coming, just fucking hurry up. Put the money in and go and buy some people in January, because that's the thing for me. In January, I don't see us doing the kind of business that I think we need to do. We need a proper left back, a first team left back. We need a striker, a first team striker, not someone to come in and just sit on the bench. Absolutely not to all of those.
I would rather have Liam Cooper than Harry Maguire.
Absolutely. Just anyone that's worn a red shirt at all, just kind of get in for me straight away. But no, for me, I think the money that's being spoken about with the Max Verber deal, if it's true, is penny. Let's be honest, it's penny. In terms of the money that we need to be spending to put ourselves in a position to genuinely be safe, unlike what we did last January, you're talking maybe 20 million quid each on each position. What is he doing? What are you doing?
Sorry, I was topping up my beer.
Is there a machine doing that for you?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well,
Santa's got a paint thing.
Santa's got a brand new bag. Well done.
Yeah.
Scott. Yeah, the January transfer window for me, it's not going to go how I want it to unless the 49ers stump up quick and get involved, give us the money and go and spend it. Because let's be honest, it's their investment that's going to suffer if they don't. But yeah, let's look forward to Newcastle away tomorrow. I'm very jealous if you manage to get a ticket and are going. Have a good time. I will be watching it on my computer. Hopefully everyone else can watch it legally too. But yeah, in terms of the Jesse Marsh press conference, or the Jess conference, as Scott likes to call it, what, Chris, did you take from, if anything? There wasn't much put out. There was only maybe like 10 minutes worth of content put out, but he specifically obviously name dropped 3 people that, let's be honest, they will come back in. Tyler Adams, obviously, because of the suspension, will be back. Jack Harrison and Somerville were apparently rested the other night, specifically so they could play in this game. He spoke about, like Scott alluded to, in terms of, in fact, I kind of found his answer quite funny in terms of the money. He tried his best to be complimentary towards Eddie Howe, but he did basically just say, yeah, it's just fucking money. So I don't think they'll have taken that well. If I was Eddie Howe watching that, or a Newcastle player watching the small snippet that Jesse Marsh's interview came out, they could be a bit annoyed by it. But
I
yeah,
thought Jesse was really complimentary about Eddie.
he was complimentary about Eddie Howe. It sounded like he was saying it's basically all down to the money, though, from what I was hearing.
But to see, I like, he made a really good point about the difference in MLS, soccer, and the Premier League, and it's that salary cap and all the financial caps. Yeah, it makes it more competitive. Anyone could win it each year. You don't have that here. No, we don't have that. So I get what he's saying.
I very much get the point, but in terms of the transfer window that Newcastle have had so far, and yeah, look, they bought in Bruno Guimaraes, which is one really good deal, but the money they spent last January, as much as you could say in terms of the numbers, the players they bought in, they weren't Neymar and Mbappe like they were linked to. They got Dan Burn, Chris Wood, Kieran Trippier, who's obviously made a huge difference. But Eddie Howe really has done a good job with a lot of the players that were already there and transformed Miguel Almiron from someone who was getting the piss taken out of him by Jack Grealish into a player that's chasing down Jamie Vardy's record for most goals in consecutive games, etc. I think the credit was there a little bit, but I think there was a little bit of a laughing and a joking about the difference that's been made over the last year is purely money, which I think unless that money buys you Eddie Howe, I think there could have been more credit given, to be honest. And Chris, what do you make of Newcastle, and what do you think it's as hard a challenge as the City game?
No, it's nothing like the City game. I guess Marsh was probably a bit. Maybe he's frustrated. Maybe he's wanting more players and he's not getting them, and maybe that's why he's sort of talking about money. I'm not sure. Yeah. I think Newcastle, they're not a team of superstars yet. Like you said, I think this year there's a high likelihood they're going to finish in the top 4, and that will then take them to the next level. And we'll never be able to sort of capture them again, I guess. But in terms of their starter 11, there isn't too much to fear. They're well coached. They're good at what they do, and they've obvious dangers like Trippier on the set pieces. Wood up front is going to cause us problems. Almiron, I'm sure, will keep scoring. Yeah.
For me, it was. Did you watch the Leicester game the other day? Obviously, they were all on Amazon Prime, but I know it was 3-0 quite early on. But Bruno, for me, and people will pick him out for different bits, but the last 10 minutes, he was taking the piss, mate. It was like watching Neymar. He was doing some of the little Neymar tricks and just lobbing balls over people's heads. I
saw the start, but
he could take the piss out of us if he wanted to.
Yeah, I think we certainly need a strong start. But I don't think Leeds should be going there fearing them. They need to go and try and play an attacking team, try and get at them because. I didn't quite realise how good Newcastle's form was. It is almost, they're not going to win the league, but it is sort of title winning form that they're on at the moment.
Yeah. Scotty's raised an eyebrow there. He thinks they're in with a chance, you know.
I do. I actually really do. I think Newcastle need to be given more credit right now.
Well, the results are ridiculous. Yeah,
it's like, and considering John Joe Shelby's out for 8 weeks, which for us is good news because he always turns. He's brilliant against us, and I hate that. Alexander Isak is out injured. He's hardly had a shout with them this year from his side because he's been injured.
Yeah,
Sinister. Like that says it all because he's brilliant. I really rate Isak. I think that's a brilliant signing. Looking at their injuries as well, Emil Kraft's out as well, and Callum Wilson's only back from illness, so he's not going to be starting tomorrow, most likely.
Is Maximan back? Is he available?
He came off the bench late on against Leicester the other day.
Yeah, so there's nothing about him, so I would assume he's available.
He
absolutely terrorises us.
He doesn't seem to start many games under Eddie Howe. I'll be honest. He's basically off the bench late on. But to be honest, whenever he runs at you, whether it's the last 10 minutes or the first 10, you shit yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say if he's watched the last couple of Leeds games against them, he's going to start him because he's got 4 players around him and no one can stop him.
Yeah,
and that is a proper weakness for us. We'll come to the lineups. Don't spoil it just yet. But in terms of I wouldn't go as far as to say I think they're title contenders. I think they are on excellent form throughout the calendar year, not just this season. And I do think the 1-0 win at Ellen Road last January was something that was a huge turning point for both clubs. And for me, that was a real moment that just changed the tide with the Bielsa thing, and it started to feel as though. And I agree with what Scott said. At that point, I was like, "Oh shit, we're in trouble here." And then obviously the run that followed, you knew it did get to a point where you thought, "Yeah, we're going down here." But with them, from that game onwards and the takeover happening, it literally has gone completely the opposite. They've gone to unbelievable lengths in terms of they're on better form than City and Arsenal in this calendar year, which is mental for where they were. And I'll be honest, I don't think it's been that hugely affected by the transfers. I mean, other than Bruno in particular being a big spend, it's people that have been bought in for relatively low fees, and they're not worldies. Dan Burn, Chris Wood, Kieran Trippier, brilliantly experienced player, but not worldies. Bruno adds a bit of magic, but Eddie Howe, for me, like Scott said, deserves a lot of credit in terms of just the job he's done. And that's been on show for Bournemouth for a long time. So I think there isn't the individual quality to fear like there was against Man City. I'm not going into it thinking shit Erling Haaland when I'm looking at Chris Wood or even like Kevin De Bruyne versus Bruno. I don't see that level of quality all over the pitch, but in terms of a solid unit that's going to make it very difficult for us, yes. But I'm going to caveat that immediately by saying those are the games this season we have shown up. You think of Anfield. Is this Liverpool side and this Newcastle side that far apart? Is the Arsenal game at home, is this Arsenal side on form from the last year, you'd say quite similar in terms of the results? Is it that different? Is it different to Chelsea? Is it different to Tottenham? I don't think it is. I think this is a team where we could quite reasonably go into the game feeling more confident than if we were playing fucking Southampton tomorrow. I mean, realistically, like you said earlier, Chris, we should be able to go to teams around us and feel like, yeah, we deserve or we should be getting something out of this game. But it weirdly does seem vibesy under Jesse Marsh. It feels like it's mental. Nothing really works out the way it should. The games that we should be good, we're shit. The games that we should be shit, we're good. Obviously, Wednesday night, I think we got somewhat what we expected, but a little bit better. We weren't as bad as we hoped. But tomorrow, I think the changes, and I am going to bring in the lineup stuff now, so you are allowed to start alluding to it if you want. But the changes that have to be made, Tyler Adams coming back in is fucking huge. That makes a difference just on its own. Harrison, maybe not. I don't see as a huge difference maker, especially if it's Willie Gnonto that has to come out for that change. I'd rather it didn't happen at all. But Somerville obviously scored, 4 goals in 4 games before the break. Mm-hmm. You got to say, compared to whoever comes out for that change, unless it's Rodrigo, who was on a very similar run but doesn't actually excite anybody to that level, they're all changes that could give us something that we didn't necessarily even need against City. So, Chris, and in fact, I'll go round in the circle, in the triangle. Who's your back five? So obviously, there's no point playing goalkeeper. We know. So back five. Who's your goalkeeper in your back four? Chris first.
I think to keep it quick, I think the back five is going to be exactly the same as it was. I don't see any massive reason to change it. I know Llorente got on the pitch, and I don't know why, but he did. But that is at the moment our back four.
Okay. Scott is about to tell me that he would definitely take out Rasmus Christensen and put Luke Ayling in.
No. What? Wait on. Luke Ayling. No. I'm with Chris. But
yeah.
See, the weird thing is that back four, to me, in my opinion anyway, I'm sure people disagree, but that's literally our best options right now.
Yeah, it's hard to argue.
That's like, how bad is that?
Yeah.
Like, really, we should be having a left back and having Cock and Stroke in the centre. Mm. That's what I want to see. I want to see a left back and then Stroke and Cock in the centre, and then Rasmus or Cody Drama there.
I think next season you might get that. I just don't see it this season. Or not until towards the closing stages, or unless Cooper's injured, basically. But it does feel like that. The championship winning squad is definitely getting phased out now completely. If not by the end of this summer, I think the likes of Ayling, Cooper, Click, Bamford, Harrison, they could all sort of be gone by the start of next season. You don't know. But in terms of formation, I'm intrigued to see, are you both going to stick with the 4-3-3? And if you are sticking with the 4-3-3, who's your midfield three, Chris?
I think I will stick with the same formation. I think he's kind of set. He's kind of shown that's what he wants to try. He's kind of seen the weakness of the other formation, and I think Newcastle especially will probably catch us out wide if we don't play that formation.
Yeah.
So Adams comes in. He was obviously mentioned in the press conference. I think Rocker will start. He wasn't fantastic in the last couple of games, and I don't think he's been brilliant all season. He's kind of okay. He gets a lot of credit from various sources, but I haven't seen him sort of live up to his potential yet.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure on the third one. I think Forshaw actually did okay, but whether he can play 2 games in such a short period, but I don't know if you maybe drop Aronson back into if he fits in there somewhere, but
yeah,
I'll probably go Aronson, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with bits of that. I think in terms of the Rocker stuff, for me, he's not been anywhere near as good as people have made out. I'm not a big fan, but Tyler Adams will come back in. I just don't see Rocker getting dropped, and then it is who goes in there with him and does Aronson drop back, and does that allow for some of the changes further up? But Scotty, were you going to stick with the 4-3-3, or were you going to revert to a different formation?
Not against Newcastle. I'd be going back to our game, the soccer ball, the Jesse Marsh ball. Also on a wee side note, Jamie. But yeah.
I thought you were right.
But yeah, I see us going back to the two with Rocket and Adams.
Mm.
And then I can see Aronson in front of those as that kind of link up player. And then a 3 up top there.
So 4-2-1-3.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it depends what way you look at it, because some people go 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
But I
know what you mean.
Slightly differently. I think
rather than a line, it's a triangle.
Yeah. It's like a Christmas tree.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we'll come back to your front three then in a minute. So you both basically said the same 3 names, which is Adams, Rocker, and Aronson in that 3, depending on which way it's working. But Rocker and Adams will definitely play. Aronson, I'd be surprised if he comes out, especially when it's Marsh alluding to the likes of Harrison and Somerville being the people that come back in. I think this is going to be the thing where we get the most interaction from people in the comments. And obviously, I think we're all going to have a shared opinion here in terms of if those two people are coming in and there's only 3 positions left, who's coming out? And there's only one player that I think everybody wouldn't want to come out, but I think he's the most likely to come out if those 2 players are coming back in. Willie Gnonto should not be getting dropped.
No.
And I've heard people say just in the pre-season friendlies in this game, but for me, it goes back longer than that. You go back to the Liverpool game at Anfield where he comes off the bench for his first appearance and makes a difference straight away. I think him and Somerville on the pitch at the same time makes me feel like something can happen far more than, and I'm a big Jack Harrison fan, but far more than Harrison and Somerville or Harrison and Gnonto. I like those 2 together, and I think Rodrigo, weirdly enough, fits well with the experience stuff with those 2 either side of him, and you can kind of get away with having to carry the luxury player. I don't know why he's a luxury player, but the luxury player aspect of a Rodrigo when you've got youngsters like that around him. So, yeah, I do the same as you guys and drop Aronson into that 3 alongside Adams and Rocker. I wouldn't take Willie Gnonto out at all. I'd keep Rodrigo in because realistically, what is the other option at 9? And yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Somerville back in, and obviously that would mean Greenwood having to drop out, Forshaw having to come out. But what's your front 3, Chris? Is it the same, and would you make any changes to that?
I think, like you, I'd like to see Gnonto and Somerville on the 2 wings. I think they've been our most attacking players. They've been creating chances. Somerville's been scoring. But it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. He's clearly called out Harrison. So so it probably is going to be Harrison and Somerville, I'd say. With Rodrigo up front.
Rodders,
yeah. I don't know if I'd want him to start up there. I mean, he's scored all our goals, but whether he's cemented his place, I'm not sure.
That's the thing. It's just, first of all, Bamford isn't ready. We know that he's not going to be back in training until Sunday or Monday, according to Marsh, which I believe but yeah, in terms of the clamour for Joffrey this time last season to start ahead of Bamford was reaching fever pitch, and it's weird how a year down the line, and I don't want to take the piss out of the pathway, but the pathway has worked seemingly for the 2 on either side. The Gnonto, who's a new arrival, but the Somerville. Greenwood seems to be fancied by Marsh, but Gelhardt and Marsh haven't seemed to work well for each other as of yet. Are you 100% like, regardless of everything, you would still rather Rodrigo because it guarantees goals, or would you want Gelhardt getting minutes?
Yeah, part we would want him there as well when Somerville, Gnonto and Gelhardt, and just trust the young players, and maybe they enjoy playing together. Maybe they can just change the shape a bit. I'm not going to give up on Joffrey. I still think he's got a good future. But yeah, it's been a strange half the season for him, or it's not been a half season, but it's been a strange first part of the season because it seems like he's not favoured, like you say.
Yeah, I think it's the lack of minutes that's done for him a little bit in terms of he seemed to have more faith in him last season from both managers, not just one or the other, but he seemed to get a lot more minutes last season. And I don't know, maybe it's the arrival of Gnonto, maybe it's the arrival of some of the midfield players, even Aronson, because Aronson was the one genuinely playing the 9 role the other night. Rodrigo was on the right hand side.
That's weird.
So, yeah, maybe that's why, but I think maybe getting more minutes into him this season. For me, the minutes that you were going to rely on Patrick Bamford getting, you can basically just fob them off on Joffrey Gelhardt now. For me, Scott, what about you, mate? Is your front 3 the same as mine and Chris's? Because you love to throw a rogue one in, so someone's going in and out here.
No, again, the one for me that should not be getting changed is Willie Gnonto. But unfortunately, if Harrison's available, I think he's the one that gets changed.
Yeah.
Would I do it? No. Not in a million suns. I would not be swapping Jack Harrison for Willie Gnonto. Jack Harrison is hit or miss. He either overplays it when he should pass it, or he shoots when he should pass, or he passes when he should take it on a bit more. He constantly making the wrong decision, constantly. And at the start of the season, I'd have been sad to have seen him go. But I now personally feel that this window is when we kind of need to sell him. I think we will have the will and the determination for Harrison to go somewhere where he's not going to be fighting for a position, you know. But for me, Willie Gnonto deserves to be starting.
Yeah.
Somerville deserves to be starting. And much to my chagrin, Rodrigo deserves to be starting.
Yeah.
You don't have to like the player. You have to appreciate what they've done this season. If Sinistera was fit,
of course,
that is where I would change Rodrigo. Until Sinistera is 100% fit and ready to go, for me, it has to be Gnonto, Rodrigo, and Somerville.
Yeah. I agree. I think some people
hasn't done it this season.
Yeah,
he hasn't.
Some people might not like the take on Jack Harrison, but I'm going to back you up here. In terms of the Harrison thing, on a sensible level, he's got 18 months left on his contract. I'm really surprised they haven't tied him down to a new one, bearing in mind they prioritise giving Llorente a new deal over giving Harrison a new deal. If you think Jack Harrison is a Leeds player in the future, bearing in mind the age of the lad compared to what Llorente is going to be at the end of the contract they've just given him, they don't seem to be protecting that asset for me. So for me, and the lack of minutes being given to him and the fact that, look, it does look justified. Willie Gnonto's come in and looked absolutely sensational. The youngsters are coming through and finally giving a bit more competition to him, and his place is under more threat than it's ever been since he first ever came on loan. But for me, with Harrison, I kind of agree with Scott in terms of this January, if you're going to get maximum amount of money for him, if you're not going to give him a new contract before tomorrow night, when that window opens on January the 1st, you may as well see what money you're going to get for him, because this is our last chance to make money out of him. And realistically, if you're Jack Harrison after this January transfer window and we've not sold you, well, I'll just run my contract down then. Or I'll let you get a reduced fee for me. I don't really care. But he's not. I don't see a long-term future for him based on the fact that contract didn't come from the start of the season to now. And look, I don't really want to see anyone leave mid-season. But yeah, I do agree with Scott in terms of, I think in January, if anyone was to go, just based on sensibility and getting the most out of the transfer fee, that might be it. That could be the money that goes and gets us a left back, goes and gets us a striker, because Newcastle were after him. And if you say to Newcastle now, you can have him for 30, 35 million quid. And some people might laugh at that price, but we bought Dan James for 25.
I think it's too late for that. I think we could have got that at the start of the season, but I don't think now. I think we'll be looking at 20 million now, because then they know it's
5 for Dan James. We'd get more than that for Harrison.
Yeah, but we don't do good deals. When was the last time we got a good price for a player that was
Calvin Phillips?
Well, yeah, I suppose
I'm
Phillips,
just saying
was
that has proved to be an absolute white city's eye with that. Do you know what I mean? He can't even get on the England team. He went away and he had all the Yorkshire puddings. He can't even sing the Calvin Phillips "You Let Your Country Down" because he didn't even play. Do you know what I mean? We've robbed Man City for that, and at the time we all wanted more money. And there he is. He's getting splinters on his arse from sitting on their bench. I'm not saying I wish them all the best.
I think the price was fair.
Just saying.
The price was fair. I don't think it was too much. I don't think it was too little. I think it was a good price for everybody,
especially for us. It would have been cheaper for Man City just to buy a fucking, pardon my French, to buy a pillow and just set it on the bench. Just, you want someone to warm the bench, buy an electric heater.
Ever apologise?
Do you know what I mean?
No, I think he's ready. He's ready to go in January. I think he's had his shoulder surgery or whatever he had, and I think he'll be quite a decent player for them. So we got a good price. He's injury prone. We've replaced him anyway. So, but I just can't
upgraded on him.
Good for Harrison.
Oh, I hope you're talking about Adams and not Rock.
Oh yeah, we have upgraded on Calvin Phillips. We have upgraded on him. I honestly think we got the best out of Calvin Phillips. I don't think
100%.
when he gets playing for City, he is as good as he was for us. I think we have 100% got more. You'll see in hindsight. I honestly believe time will tell that we got more than Calvin Phillips is worth.
Well, before
that was a segue.
Before Scotty gets us demonetized with his terrible language,
I
think we should. Everybody, thank you if you are watching for sticking with us. As Scott would say, do your graphic now, Scott. Smash that like.
Sugar lumps. What have we done?
Yeah, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that shit. But yeah, if you are watching, I want your comments in as well. Now we're going to do score predictions. I want to know what you think it's going to be tomorrow, and I also want to know who you think the goal scorers are. If you don't think we're going to score, then you don't have to name any names, of course. But we don't care about theirs either. We care about ours. So, Scott, I'm going to come to you first. What do you think the score is tomorrow, and who's getting any goals, if there are to be any goals?
How long have I got here?
No longer than 2 minutes. No, 1 minute. 1 minute. I want a proper answer.
Right, okay. I think.
Why do you need longer?
No, you know me. I tend to ramble.
Right, go on. 1 minute now. Go.
Right. I don't want to scut it or anything, but I think this is a great opportunity for us to get a result against the team that haven't lost a match from August. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Newcastle, and I think the players are going to feel it because they are going to want to go out this year with a win, simply so they can say that they had that perfect first half of the season where they didn't lose a game. They were invincible. And I think we very well are going to rock up here and do a Leeds, and we are going to upset Geordies, unfortunately for them. For us, it'll be a very, very happy new year. I honestly can see us winning 2-1.
Okay, you managed that within a minute as well. Well done.
You're welcome.
I just want to say, they're definitely not invincible. They've definitely lost at least one.
Not from August.
Right, okay. But they've lost a league game, right?
Oh, I think they've lost.
They've lost one or two. I'm
sure. Wasn't that to Man City or something? They lost to someone decent, didn't they?
But
someone like that.
While Scott does our research here, Chris, what's your score prediction for tomorrow?
I think, before the show, I was thinking a Newcastle win. You've obviously twisted my arm a bit. So I'm thinking we can get a point.
That's a rare commodity. That me twisting your arm into positivity. You can tell we've been away a while, can't you?
I can't see it being high scoring. I think Newcastle don't concede very many. I think our attack's good enough. I know we didn't create much against Man City, but it's a different game, different quality of player. I think 1-1 or still draw. Where the goals are going to come from. I think Rodrigo. I guess. I mean, he just seems to get to the right position. I don't know why I'm predicting him to score, but Rodrigo, and then could be anyone. Could be Aronson. It's going to be scrappy, but I can just see us nicking a point.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm going to go similar to you, Chris. I think same as Scott. Well, echoes of both of you. I feel quite confident in terms of we're not playing a team in and around us. Therefore, I actually expect us to turn up. I think we're turning up with a stronger side that we had against Man City the other night. So we're putting out a stronger side, hopefully, if Nonto stays in. And we're facing a side that aren't as technically gifted as that City side. So realistically, it should be closer than the 3-1 that we had against arguably the best team in the world the other night. So a 1-1 or a 2-1, I'd say more likely to be 1-1. Newcastle, I think they do have the best defence in the league. It will be hard to keep them quiet, but Ilhan Melia is having another really good season. He's come back in good form and was very good the other night. And having Tyler Adams makes me feel more confident that we won't concede more than 1 or 2 at the very most. Fingers crossed we'll sort out with this new formation, the personnel becoming available, the leaky defence. Hopefully that's something that needs to be sorted in the next few games during the January window with some additions as well. But yeah, I think that's an hour of pretty much quite positive chat from me, who is always negative, Scott, who is about as bipolar as they come, and Chrissy was perennially happy, but has been dragged back from the dark side by us this evening. So it's
just to confirm on Newcastle,
yeah,
they have lost one match this season against Liverpool, who scored in the last kick of the game on the 31st of August. Newcastle have not lost a single game since.
Well, there we go. And Leeds United haven't lost in a whole 48 hours.
Oh,
so it would be
because we're on a roll.
It would be very, very Leedsy to go and actually get a result. So yeah, I mean, we could all be sat here looking very fucking silly in 24 hours time, but we'll see.
We could, but do you know what I mean? That's the joy of it, isn't it?
It is.
That's the beautiful game. It's not played on paper. It's played at St James's Park tomorrow at 3 p.m. And I would like to think we are going to get something out of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time tonight, Scotty. Thank you, Chris. Thank you guys for watching with us. Plenty of content coming over the weekend. There's going to be player ratings, match day content. I'm sure there'll be a meltdown if it doesn't go how we expect it to go. And I'm sure there'll be some happy faces if it does. So either way, you know where we are. Come and watch us again tomorrow and Sunday. But if you are watching the game legally, well done. If you're not, you naughty, naughty boys and girls, have a good weekend and fingers crossed 3 points tomorrow. Thank you very much. And I'm going to end. So just